Martha Johnson's life had never been easy. Growing up on the south side of Chicago, she learned what hunger meant before she learned how to spell it. Her mother had worked 2 jobs, her father had disappeared when she was only 6, and by the time she turned 18, the world already felt like a battlefield. But Martha was a fighter. She had no choice. Now at 23, she worked at Golden Spoon Restaurant, a place that smelled of roasted chicken, buttered bread, and laughter she could never afford. Every day she tied her apron tight around her waist, painted on a smile, and carried trays heavy with meals she could never dream of buying. Her younger brother, Jacob, was the reason she kept going. At 15, he was bright, ambitious, and full of dreams Martha wanted him to hold on to. She had dropped out of community college just to keep him in school, telling herself one day he'd make it further than she ever could. But at night, when her shift ended and she returned to their tiny one-room apartment, her body ached with exhaustion. Her stomach growled, but the fridge was almost always empty. Martha told Jacob she had already eaten at work, but the truth was bitter. She survived on remnants, half-eaten meals left behind by customers who didn't care what happened to their untouched bread rolls or unfinished chicken wings. And yet, Martha carried herself with quiet dignity. No one at the restaurant suspected her secret hunger. To them, she was just another waitress. To Jacob, she was a shield against the world. But deep inside, Martha knew she couldn't live like this forever. Something had to change, one way or another. The Golden Spoon Restaurant wasn't glamorous, but it was steady work. Martha got the job through a neighbor who knew the manager. She remembered her first day, the smell of fried fish, grilled steak, and cinnamon rolls that filled the air, making her stomach twist in hunger. She quickly learned the rhythm: greet customers, pour water, deliver plates, smile even when her feet hurt. Sometimes customers didn't even look at her when ordering, their eyes glued to their phones, but she always responded politely. Angela Brown, another waitress, became her friend. Angela was loud, quick with jokes, and often teased Martha for being too quiet. "Girl, you need to loosen up," Angela laughed one afternoon, balancing plates on her arms like a circus act. Martha smiled softly. "I'm just here to work, Angie. Nothing more." But Martha loved watching people enjoy food. She carried roasted chicken dripping with juice, golden cornbread, creamy mashed potatoes, meals she hadn't tasted since she was a child. Sometimes she wondered what it would feel like to sit on the other side of the table, eating without worry. But then she remembered Jacob. As long as he had food, she could endure. At first, Martha was ashamed. The idea of eating from a stranger's plate made her stomach turn. But hunger is a teacher that speaks louder than pride. One night after a wealthy couple left their table, she cleared the dishes and noticed a whole piece of fried chicken untouched. She hesitated, glancing around. The kitchen was busy, no one watching. With trembling hands, she slipped it into a napkin. Later, hidden in the corner by the dish sink, she ate it. Every bite tasted like shame mixed with relief. Her stomach no longer hurt, but her eyes stung with tears. It became a habit. Leftover bread, half a sandwich, a slice of pie. If no one touched it, it became hers. Angela once caught her wrapping a bread roll. "Girl, you that hungry?" Angela asked, raising an eyebrow. Martha forced a smile. "It's for Jacob." Angela didn't press further. But Martha knew if anyone found out, she could lose her job. Still, the hunger left her no choice. Jacob was everything Martha lived for. At 15, he had dreams bigger than their small apartment walls could hold. He wanted to be an engineer, to build bridges and towers. "Martha," he said one night, chewing on the bread she brought home, "one day I'll buy you a big house. No more of this one-room mess. You'll have your own kitchen, your own bed." Martha smiled, brushing his hair gently. "I don't need a big house, Jacob. I just need you to finish school." He didn't know she often went to bed hungry, pretending she was full. He didn't know the fried chicken he ate came from someone else's plate. He only knew his sister worked hard, and he wanted to make her proud. Sometimes, when he caught her staring off in silence, Jacob would say, "Don't worry, sis. I'll change everything for us." And in those words, Martha found the strength to keep going another day. It happened on a rainy Tuesday evening. Martha thought the manager, Mr. Collins, had gone home early. She was in the corner, quickly eating half a sandwich left behind by a student group. "Johnson," a voice snapped. Her heart froze. She turned to see Mr. Collins standing there, his brows furrowed. "Are you eating from customers' leftovers?" he asked sternly. Martha's throat tightened. She wanted to lie, but her voice cracked. "Sir, I don't have enough money to eat. My brother needs school fees. I can't let him go hungry." Mr. Collins stared at her for a long moment. She expected him to fire her on the spot. Instead, his shoulders dropped, and he sighed. "From today, you won't touch leftovers again," he said quietly. "You'll get one meal from the kitchen every shift." "That's an order." Tears welled in Martha's eyes. For the first time, she felt seen, not as just another waitress, but as a human being. A few days later, Martha served an older woman named Grace Miller. She was dressed simply but spoke kindly, unlike many customers. "Child, you have the sweetest smile," Mrs. Miller said as Martha poured her coffee. "Thank you, ma'am," Martha replied, her cheeks warming. The woman studied her carefully. "You remind me of my daughter. She's about your age." For some reason, Martha felt safe around her. She didn't know why, but when Mrs. Miller tipped her generously and said, "Take care of yourself," Martha almost cried. It was rare for strangers to notice her. But something in Mrs. Miller's gentle eyes made her believe better days could come. Angela had her own struggles, raising 2 kids on her own, but she always had energy to cheer people up. One evening, she sat with Martha during their break. "Girl, I see you. You always carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You need someone to talk to." Martha shook her head. "I'll be fine. I just want Jacob to succeed." Angela sighed. "I get it. But don't kill yourself in the process. You deserve better too." For the first time, Martha realized Angela wasn't just a coworker. She was a friend. And friendship, like food, was something she had been starving for. Late at night, Martha sometimes thought about the dreams she abandoned. She used to love reading and wanted to study literature. She dreamed of becoming a teacher, maybe even a writer. But dreams don't pay bills. One night, staring at her reflection in the cracked mirror, she whispered to herself, "Martha Johnson, you gave up too soon." Then she shook her head. "No, you didn't give up. You're surviving." And survival, she reminded herself, was also a kind of courage. One busy Saturday, Martha met Marcus Lee, the restaurant's new chef. He was tall, with quick hands and a calm voice. Unlike other chefs who barked orders, Marcus treated waitresses with respect. When Martha delivered an order late, she braced for scolding. Instead, Marcus said, "It's all right. You're doing your best." She blinked, surprised. Later, he offered her a small plate of pasta. "Extra from the kitchen," he said with a smile. Martha hesitated, then accepted. It was the first meal she ate without shame. But while Martha was finding little bits of kindness at work, Jacob was struggling in school. One afternoon he came home with a bruised face. "What happened?" Martha gasped. "Some boys teased me," he muttered. "They said I dress like I'm homeless. I tried to fight back." Martha's heart broke. She couldn't afford new clothes for him, only second-hand shirts from the thrift store. She held him tightly. "Don't listen to them, Jacob. You're better than their words. One day, you'll rise so high they'll wish they had treated you differently." But inside, Martha wondered how much longer they could survive like this. The day after Mr. Collins promised her a free meal, Martha walked into the kitchen nervous. She thought maybe he had forgotten. But Marcus, the chef, smiled at her. "Collins told me. This is for you." He handed her a plate of baked chicken with roasted vegetables. Martha's throat tightened. She sat down, and for the first time in years, ate without shame. Each bite was warm, each flavor rich. She didn't have to hide in corners. She didn't have to rush. Angela walked by and grinned. "Finally, girl. You're eating like you're supposed to." Martha laughed, and for a moment, she felt human again. Something shifted in her that week. Eating a proper meal gave her energy. She smiled more at customers, moved faster between tables, and even laughed with Angela during breaks. One evening, Mrs. Miller returned and noticed Martha's glow. "Child, you look different today. Happier." "Yes, ma'am," Martha said softly. "I guess I am." Respect wasn't just about how others treated her. It was how she began to see herself. For the first time in a long while, Martha felt worthy of more. Mr. Collins noticed her change. He called her into his office. "Martha, you're one of the most hard-working staff I've got. Ever thought of becoming a supervisor one day?" Her eyes widened. "Me? A supervisor? Why not?" he shrugged. "You've got leadership in you. Think about it." Martha left his office stunned. She had never seen herself as anything more than a struggling waitress. But maybe, just maybe, there was more to her story than scraps. On Jacob's 16th birthday, Martha came home with a surprise, a small second-hand phone she had saved for months to buy. "Happy birthday, little brother," she said, handing it to him. Jacob's eyes lit up. "Martha, you shouldn't have. How did you even afford this?" "Don't worry about it," she smiled. "You deserve it." He hugged her tightly. "One day, I'll give you the world, sis. You've given me everything already." Martha blinked back tears. He didn't know how much she sacrificed, but his smile made every hunger pang worth it. One afternoon, Mrs. Miller asked Martha to sit with her for a moment. "You're a bright young woman. Ever thought about school?" Martha hesitated. "I had to drop out, ma'am. I couldn't afford it." Mrs. Miller reached into her purse and pressed a card into Martha's hand. "Call me. I run a community program that helps young women like you get scholarships or job training." Martha's chest tightened. "Thank you, ma'am. I don't know what to say." "Say you'll think about it," Mrs. Miller replied with a warm smile. Angela wasn't laughing as much these days. Martha found her crying in the break room one evening. "What's wrong?" Martha asked. "My landlord's evicting me," Angela sobbed. "I don't know where me and my kids will sleep." Martha's heart ached. She had so little, yet she offered what she could. "Angie, if you need, you and the kids can stay at my place for a few days. It's small, but at least you won't be on the street." Angela looked at her, stunned. "Martha, you're an angel." "Thank you." That night, Martha realized kindness was like food. It kept people alive. The restaurant wasn't always kind. One night, a drunk customer insulted Martha, calling her just a poor black waitress. Her hands trembled, but before she could respond, Marcus stepped forward. "Sir, you will not disrespect my staff. Leave now." The man grumbled but walked out. Martha stared at Marcus. "You didn't have to." "Yes, I did," Marcus interrupted firmly. "You deserve respect." For the first time, Martha felt someone fight for her, and it gave her courage to fight for herself. A few weeks later, the Golden Spoon hit trouble. Business slowed, bills piled up, and Mr. Collins looked stressed. "Sales are dropping," he admitted to the staff. "We may have to let some people go." Fear gripped Martha's heart. Losing this job meant losing Jacob's school fees, losing rent, losing everything. She couldn't let that happen. That night, she couldn't sleep. She lay awake thinking, how could the restaurant survive? Was there something she could do? The next morning, Martha spoke to Mr. Collins nervously. Sir, maybe we can attract more customers by offering affordable lunch specials? Something simple but filling, like the food people love at home. Mr. Collins frowned. You think that'll work? Yes, Martha said with unusual confidence. Not everyone can afford steak and wine, but everyone wants good food at a fair price. Marcus, overhearing, nodded. She's right. We could try it. Collins rubbed his chin. All right, Johnson. We'll test your idea. Martha couldn't believe it. Her voice mattered. The lunch specials launched, and within a week, the restaurant buzzed with new customers. Workers from nearby offices, students, families, they filled the tables. Mr. Collins smiled at Martha. You saved this place. I'm promoting you to shift supervisor. Her heart leapt. Thank you, sir. That night, she told Jacob, who grinned proudly. See, I told you, sis. You're more than just surviving. You're winning. Martha smiled, holding her brother close. For the first time, tomorrow didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a promise. With her new role, Martha felt stronger. She walked with her head higher, spoke with more authority, and encouraged younger staff. Customers noticed too. You're different these days, Angela teased. Look at you, boss lady. Martha laughed. I'm just doing my best. But deep inside, she began to believe she could become more than her circumstances. Marcus and Martha grew closer. During breaks, they sat together, sharing stories. He told her about his dream of opening his own restaurant one day. You should dream too, Marcus said one evening. Martha shook her head. Dreams don't pay bills. Not yet, Marcus said softly. But dreams give you direction. And I can see you leading something bigger one day. His words lingered in her heart. Jacob's school called Martha in. He had gotten into a fight again. He's a smart boy, the principal said, but he's angry. He feels the weight of poverty. Martha took Jacob home and sat him down. Listen, Jacob. Fighting won't change anything. But education will. You have to focus. Jacob looked at her, tears brimming. I just hate seeing people laugh at us. Martha hugged him. Let them laugh now. One day, you'll rise so high, their laughter will mean nothing. Mrs. Miller came back to the restaurant again, this time with papers in her hand. Martha, she said, I didn't forget. I want you to apply for this program. It offers training in management and hospitality. With your skills, you'd do well. Martha's eyes widened. Ma'am, No excuses, Mrs. Miller smiled. Promise me you'll try. Martha swallowed hard. I promise. That night, she filled out the forms with trembling hands. Maybe her future was bigger than she thought. Weeks later, Martha received a letter. With shaking hands, she opened it. Congratulations, you've been accepted into the Community Hospitality Training Program. Her eyes filled with tears. Jacob hugged her tightly. I knew it, sis. I knew you were meant for more. At the restaurant, she showed Mr. Collins. He patted her shoulder. Proud of you, Johnson. Go learn. Bring that knowledge back here, or maybe to your own place one day. Martha smiled. For the first time, she felt the world opening, piece by piece. No longer the girl who ate remnants, she was becoming the woman who would feed others. Starting the training program meant cutting her hours at the restaurant. That meant less money. Martha lay awake one night, staring at the cracked ceiling. Jacob, she whispered, if I go for this, things might get hard for us for a while. Jacob rolled over and looked at her. Do it, sis. Don't worry about me. I'll help however I can. You've carried me long enough. Her chest swelled with pride. He was growing into a man. The first day of the program was overwhelming. She walked into a classroom filled with younger students, some fresh out of high school. Martha felt out of place. But then she remembered Jacob's words and lifted her chin. She listened, took notes, and asked questions. Slowly, her confidence grew. She discovered she had a sharp mind for management, quick problem-solving skills, and an instinct for people. Ms. Johnson, her instructor said one day, you have natural leadership. Keep pushing. For the first time, Martha believed it. But things at home weren't easy. Bills piled up. The landlord warned about late rent. Martha stretched every dollar until it nearly broke. One night, Jacob found her sitting at the table with her head in her hands. Don't quit, Martha, he said firmly. We'll make it through. She smiled weakly. When did you get so grown? When I saw my sister fight battles most people would run from, he said softly. Her eyes watered. His words gave her the strength to keep going. Marcus noticed her exhaustion. One evening after work, he stopped her at the door. Martha, you can't keep running on empty. Let me help. She shook her head. I don't take charity. This isn't charity, Marcus said. It's friendship. Sometimes even the strongest need someone to lean on. His sincerity broke through her pride. For the first time, she let someone else carry a bit of her burden. Angela too had been struggling, but with Martha's encouragement, she applied for night classes. One evening, she burst into the restaurant beaming. Martha, I passed my exam. I'm going to nursing school. Martha hugged her, laughing through tears. I told you, Angie. We're not stuck forever. The two women realized their friendship was more than survival. It was the start of building futures. Months later, Martha stood on stage in her cap and gown, shaking as she accepted her certificate in hospitality management. Jacob cheered the loudest from the audience, waving his arms. She looked out and saw Mrs. Miller, Angela, Marcus, and even Mr. Collins. They all clapped, their faces glowing with pride. For a moment, Martha felt the little girl inside her, the one who used to eat scraps, finally stand tall. After graduation, Martha began working with Mrs. Miller's community program, helping run a small cafe that trained other young women. She loved it. Watching girls who reminded her of herself learn skills, gain confidence, and feed customers gave her a new sense of purpose. Someday, Martha whispered to Jacob, I'll open my own restaurant. Not a fancy one. A place where no one has to feel ashamed of eating. Jacob grinned. I'll design the building. Together, they dreamed aloud. Marcus stayed close, often helping at the cafe. One night, after closing, he turned to her. You know, Martha, I still want to open my own place, but I don't want to do it alone. Would you think about partnering with me? Her breath caught. Me? A partner? Who else? He said with a smile. You've got the vision. I've got the kitchen. Together, we can make something real. Martha's heart swelled. For the first time, the dream didn't feel impossible. 2 years later, after saving, planning, and working tirelessly, Martha stood in front of her own restaurant, New Beginnings Cafe. The sign gleamed under the sunlight. Inside, the menu was simple, affordable meals, hearty portions, food made with love. At the grand opening, customers filled the place. Angela was there with her nursing uniform. Jacob stood tall in his college jacket. Mrs. Miller cut the ribbon, and Marcus worked the kitchen. Martha stood at the door, greeting guests, her smile brighter than ever. She no longer hid in corners, eating remnants. She was feeding others, with dignity, with kindness, with hope. Late that night, when the last customer left, Martha sat at a table and looked around the cafe. Jacob came over and hugged her. "You did it, sis," he whispered. "You turned leftovers into a feast." Martha smiled through tears. She thought of the long nights of hunger, the shame, the struggle, and she thought of every person who had shown her kindness along the way. "I'll never forget where I came from," she said softly. "That girl who ate remnants, she's still me. But now, I get to make sure no one else has to live that way." The lights of the cafe glowed warmly, like a promise. And Martha Johnson, once invisible, once hungry, was now a woman who gave life, food, and hope to others. The story of Scraps had become a story of abundance.